Chapter 29, January 1998. I had turned 10 in January. I'd been going to the VFW most Friday nights to hang out with the old folks. Nancy usually took me. Sometimes she just dropped me off and then came back about 3 hours later to pick me up. I'd also gotten quite good on raised bass guitar by putting in so much practice there. Sometimes I humored them with my violin. It was so easy to impress them that I felt like a musical hero. I also knew pretty much everyone's story that went there regularly. They were a really healthy bunch now, too, and some of them were wondering why. I'd also picked up new skills by going to the VFW. Some of them played poker, and they taught me how. I knew I could win at poker, but I let myself lose a lot. People didn't like others to win a lot at anything. They'd also taught me to play backgammon and dominoes. I'd also gotten quite good at fixing mechanical things on the tractors and our other farm equipment. Daddy didn't even check half the things I'd fixed anymore. He just took it in stride that I was so good at it. He told me not to tell or show anything that I could fix things. He thought it would bring undue attention to me. It never occurred to me, and my dad probably didn't want me to know, that we weren't doing well financially. I happened to wake up in the middle of the night one night as I went downstairs to get a glass of water. It was about 1 a.m. and the light was on in the kitchen. I found Daddy asleep at the table. His head was lying on financial records. I found myself putting my hand on top of the paperwork to get a vibe from it. That's how I found out that we needed more money. I patted my dad's shoulder. "Go to bed," I told him as he looked groggily at me. "I'm going to fix this." "What are you talking about?" he asked as he woke up. "Nothing. Go to bed," I replied. As I drifted back to sleep, I told myself, "Gotta get more money. I'm going to find a way tomorrow." After school the next day, I went to town with Daddy. As we passed a drugstore, I saw a sign for a beauty pageant. It was a few weeks away, but the grand prize was $10,000. That sounded like a gazillion dollars to me. I stopped and stared at the sign. "Come on," Daddy prompted. "I gotta enter this," I told him as I was reading the sign. "Oh crap," I groaned under my breath. "What the hell did I just say?" Daddy glanced at the sign and smirked. "Yeah, right. You want to enter a beauty contest. You despise those things." I groaned some more. I knew I could win because of my guitar playing. "The grand prize is $10,000. We could use the money," I informed him. The words burned my mouth as I said it. "Our financial situation is none of your concern. I'm handling," he remarked. "Come on, let's go." I wordlessly followed him into the hardware store, but all the while my mind was thinking about it. It was in Greenville, of course, but I could get there somehow. And yeah, I'd have to dress all prissy, but I was sure one of those old ladies at the VFW could fix me up and maybe even find a gown for me to wear. Oh my God, had I really just imagined wearing a gown? At the VFW the next Friday, I asked the ladies what they thought. They were suddenly all abuzz about how they could fix my hair and what I could wear and how much fun it would be. It almost put me to sleep listening to them, but they were solving my problems. Nancy was there that night, and she thought my entering the contest would be a good experience for me. I didn't tell any of them the reason I wanted in the contest. "You know there's a $50 entry fee, right?" she asked me. "Yeah, I gotta win at poker now," I replied. The ladies thought that was funny. I got the guys playing poker that night to play for cash. I won $20 before I left the VFW. Daddy was getting clothes out of the dryer when I got home. "Okay, Dad, the ladies are going to do my makeup and hair, and one of them thinks that she can find a gown that will fit me for the pageant. Oh, and I have $20 so far for the entry fee. I can do some chores over at Henrietta's house and a few others and make the other $30, I told him. He paused and looked at me strangely. "Okay, what gives? Why are you doing this?" "I'm growing up into a lady, Dad. It's all ribbons and bows and prissy dresses from now," I replied with a straight face. It was hard to keep from laughing my ass off. "Uh-huh," he murmured. "I'm sure that's how it will be." He went back to folding clothes and I started to help. "Yeah, I can see something else is going on here. You never help with the laundry," he remarked. "So can I enter?" I asked hopefully. He continued folding clothes and explaining how beauty contests only served to make girls feel unworthy when they didn't win. It destroyed self-confidence and self-esteem, he told me. It made the girls conscious about their looks and their weight. We began walking upstairs to put the clothes away. "But I'm going to win, Dad. I'm cute, I'm skinny, I got brains, and I got that fucking badass guitar." "Yeah, you got a lot of arrogance, too, and a sailor's mouth. I'm going to take that guitar away from you if you keep cussing," he added as he opened the closet door and hung some shirts in my closet. I had a feeling that as I got older, the arrogance was going to get a lot worse, but he'd know that soon enough. As for my sailor's mouth, as long as we were alone, he let it slide. Most other places I had to bite back the F word, and I could only use the other cuss words sparingly. "It's your fault, you taught me," I replied back about the guitar, knowing that he wouldn't take it away. Yeah, sometimes I really regret that. By the next week I had a gown that even I thought was gorgeous and fit me that one of the ladies had let me borrow. One of their grandkids had worn it to a wedding. I had done chores at a few of their houses and I'd earned the rest of the entry fee. I'd even suffered through the ladies planning out my hairdo for the pageant. On the day of the pageant, the ladies dressed me and made me presentable. A lot of the people I regularly saw at the VFW were there cheering me on. Even though I thought I looked as pretty as the rest of the girls, I saw the glances and the snobbishness. I imagined some of the girls had been entered into contests like this all their lives. I felt sorry for them, that their self-worth was tied to an image, and that I was going to win. But I had to win. We needed the money. I wouldn't have entered otherwise. After all, I despise popularity contests. The show had 3 parts: the beauty part, the talent part, and the question and answer part. I'd practiced in walking in the heels I was going to wear, so I did well wearing them on that important day. The talent part was a no-brainer. There were 3 judges, 2 women and 1 man. The man asked me what I was going to play. I was still dressed in the sequin gown and heels that one of the ladies had lent me. They'd fixed my long dark hair so that it fell in long loose curls. I knew I looked like $1,000,000. "The guitar solo from Freebird," I replied as I thought about myself being on stage. I was imagining a stadium full of people now, and I was the baddest guitarist out there. Oh yeah. Years later, if you wanted to trace my arrogance back to a certain event, it was this one. I played Freebird spot on, every note perfect. At the point in the solo that everyone who didn't play guitar assumes the hardest part, I looked up to the judges and smirked. I didn't have to make my playing look effortless, because to me it was. Oh yeah, I was cool. I was so fucking cool. If I had been wearing anything other than a dress, I would have dropped on my knees and rocked that solo out. 2 of the judges looked surprised. One nudged the other and whispered something. Yeah, I was playing the solo without looking at my hands. I figured my dad would have been going nuts knowing that I was that good. I knew by the reaction I got from my guitar playing that I'd won. I wished that I'd had a camera to capture their expressions. You would have thought they'd never seen a 10-year-old flawlessly play a complicated guitar solo before. It didn't hurt that half the crowd stood up and cheered afterwards. I felt like telling them that I'd been able to play that song since I'd turned 7. There were several questions that we'd been told that the judges might ask, so most of us were coached on our answers long before the pageant. The question they asked me was, what would you do to change the world? The best way to change the world is to volunteer. I volunteer at the VFW, helping to put music back into people's lives so they have some joy, I replied. If each one of us would just volunteer at something, maybe helping neighbors paint a fence, or driving them to the store, or helping a child to read, the world would become a better place. I replied with the most adult voice I had inside of me. The ladies had coached me and advised me that I not cuss and that I use proper English. I saw by their faces that I had accomplished that. The judges seemed pleased. My dad hadn't managed to attend the pageant, but I had enough other people there supporting me, and I felt it best that he not see me like this anyway, because I had lied. There wasn't going to be ribbons or bows or prissy dresses after this day, and he definitely didn't need to know how truly good I was on guitar. "And how would you accomplish getting people to volunteer?" one of the lady judges asked. Some of the girls had stumbled when the judges probed for a detailed explanation of their answer, but not me. "You can't make anyone do anything," I informed them. "Most people follow by example, so it would be a goal of each person right now to be an example to set for their children, their peers, their community. But people have to step up. The world gets better by individuals caring to make it a better place. But the world would totally be outstanding if a lot of people cared more to make it a better place." Out of 20 girls, I was crowned the winner of the pageant. There were also 2 runners-up. I was given a huge spread of roses to hold as they took my picture. I felt confident and sure of myself as I smirked at them. The world was mine now. I felt good knowing that I could tell my dad that we'd be getting $10,000 shortly. There were a handful of younger guys at the pageant, probably brothers or cousins of the contestants. As soon as the pageant was over, they approached suddenly in my face, all happy and eager. "That was so cool," one of them said. "Play something else." Another said, and the rest of them agreed. "Hell, play that solo again. I want to watch your fingers." "We have to be going," Nancy said in a louder voice from behind them. She beckoned to me. "Can we please hear just one more song?" one boy pleaded. The rest of them chimed in as they looked at her. "One song, that's it. And then I have to get her home." They ran to get my guitar and amp. Now there was more of a crowd as people had overheard the conversation. I also heard a few of the girls scoff at the crowd had gathered. "She's such a show-off," I heard them murmur. Oh yeah, I thought it was funny because the expectation and full attention that was on me that I paused with my fingers above the strings, then strummed one lone C chord. I giggled at their reactions because they were so damn excited. "Here goes," I told them. "Are you ready?" "Angel," Nancy said in a warning tone as the guys were eagerly agreeing. The VFW crowd also thought it funny. I launched into the Freebird solo again. I couldn't help but smile in amusement as I watched the crowd watch me as I played. Yep, Freebird was one powerful song, that was for sure. Meanwhile, I could hear Nancy telling one of the mothers that I should be playing violin since I was so good at it. I had a hard time breaking away from the crowd after that song. Parents were urging their males to leave. Nancy was making sure I was packing up. I even autographed a program or two before we all were dragged apart. That was the most satisfying part of the pageant for me. "You better watch it or all the attention's going to go to your head," Nancy warned me on the ride home. Yeah, I was going to ride that wave till it crashed. What I didn't anticipate about winning the pageant was the mixed response around the community. People gossiped that I was a fake. My reputation as a bully seemed to outweigh my win as a beauty queen. Then I found out that I'd have to make a few appearances throughout the year because I'd won. I'd have to wear that gown again and let the ladies fix my hair. I could have cried when I found that out. Some people totally hated me, but that was nothing new, and the rest of them didn't know what to think. I didn't understand what I was supposed to be. I had to remind myself when people were hating on me that I'd entered and won the pageant to help our financial situation. At times, I had to remind myself of that a lot. One person was just gaga over me winning the pageant, 8-year-old Alan. He was back to crushing on me. He brought me a candy bar. He tried to get a kiss. He followed me. He always had something to talk to me about. He totally drove me crazy. Well, you are all grown up with ribbons and bows and pretty dresses, my dad teased me. Oh my God, he was no help at all. My first appearance as the pageant winner was riding in an old T-Bird convertible with the top down. I had to wear the gown and the crown, and they had me sitting on top of the back seats. And get this, they had me playing Freebird on my guitar. The amp was powered by a portable battery pack. I supposed it was cool enough. And since my dad was there, I had to mess up on guitar a few times on what some people considered the challenging parts. Not that anybody else really noticed, but I knew my dad did. The one thing that I didn't think would happen was that I got attention at school from that guitar solo. The coach had heard about my participation in the pageant, and he had talked to the principal about me appearing in the talent show that the music teacher was holding. The principal called me into his office and asked me if I was going to enter the talent show. No, I replied. The grand prize was a weekend pass to the aquarium and to the Naval and Maritime Museum in Charleston. I doubted that my dad would be able to take time off to go there. Oh, but you are going to enter, the principal assured me as he paced thoughtfully around his desk. You owe it to me for all the trouble you've caused over the years. Plus, I think it might actually make you some friends if you play that guitar of yours. Do you really think you should be forcing kids to do stuff? I asked back. I couldn't believe he could make me participate in something that I wasn't planning to. And did he really think there was anyone at the school that could possibly be friends with me? I highly doubted it. You seem to forget that I'm the principal of this school. I decided that the next thing I was about to say was best kept inside of me. I didn't know the worst was yet to come. You get to sing too. Wow. Yeah, definitely not what I had planned. You entered the talent show, my dad asked at dinner. Yeah, imagine that, I said in a bored, sarcastic way as I separated my mixed vegetables into piles of corn, beans, and carrots. Stop playing with your food and eat it, he told me. And why are you being so sarcastic? I explained to him what the principal had ordered me to do. I wondered if my dad would put a stop to it. That would be good experience for you, and you have caused him a lot of problems. He helped himself to another yeast roll. Oh, the yeast rolls that Nancy had made. I helped myself to another one too. It will be interesting, to say the least. What are you planning on doing that's going to get you expelled from school? He asked to my snarky answer. Since you brought it up, Dad, I think... No, just no. I'm serious. Whatever you're thinking of doing, you better not do it. I swear that I will get Bob to kick your ass, he warned. Wow, bringing out the big guns. He was such a killjoy sometimes. A week later, on a Friday night, friends, family, and critics of the contestants arrived at the school auditorium. My dad, Bob, and Nancy were there, the big guns, along with some of their relatives, extra guns. The coach and the principal were there too, along with some of the teachers. I was backstage with the kids that were performing that night. One girl named Patty was going to sing, but she was wanting to chicken out. She'd never been mean to me. She was crying to the teacher that she couldn't do it. I'm not sure what possessed me to walk over there, but I did. The teacher, Miss Watkins, gave me a look that seemed to ask why I was intruding on their conversation. Can I talk to Patty for a moment? I asked in my kindness voice. I couldn't even have told you who I was at that moment. I never talked that politely to people except for the first graders. Miss Watkins looked at Patty, who nodded. We watched the teacher walk away. Patty brushed away her tears and looked at me expectantly. Remember when you were a little kid and your grandma used to sing with you? She nodded but looked a little confused. How do you know about that? I used to do that with my grandma, and I just figured you did too. I lied to her. I had no idea who my grandma was or had been. I didn't even know her name. She accepted that lie. Well, just think back on that and remember how much she loved singing with you. Do you remember what she always used to tell you? Patty wrinkled her nose as she thought a moment. That I had a pretty voice, like an angel. She used to like to hear me sing. I smiled. Yeah. Do you want me to sing with you for a moment? It will help you warm up. She agreed. The restroom seemed the closest and most private place at the moment, so we headed there. I didn't even know what song she was singing that night. We ended up singing a Whitney Houston song, and I thought she did well. I don't know, she said after we finished. What if I forget the words when I go on stage? I'm going to have a mic back here and I'll chime right in, I decided. Really? She asked as she studied me. You've never even talked to me before today. You've never needed me to before today, I responded. She had never talked to me either, but I'd never heard her say anything bad about me. She seemed like a nice girl, even though most of her friends were jerks. Her face flushed as she realized that she was at fault too, and also that she did need me today. We ought to get back so we can participate, I remarked in order to stop the awkwardness. You two need to get ready, Miss Watkins scolded as we approached. The show starts in 10 minutes. We're ready, I told her as I shrugged my shoulders. I was always ready. I was an impromptu kind of kid. If I didn't know it, I could fake it. Patty's eyes widened at my choice of song. Freebird seems like a really hard song to play. Aren't you nervous? She asked. No, I could play it since I was 7. I've been in the spotlight several times, I replied in confusion. Sometimes I felt like life revolved around me and that I was always on stage. Kids followed me, kids gossiped about me, kids played pranks on me, which put me in the spotlight in a negative way. Yeah, it was just life. And I had been getting better at ignoring the crap that they did and not having a reaction to it. It dulled the experience for them and it seemed to lessen the amount of crap that they did to me. I was also getting better at not blushing when the first graders did and said stuff that embarrassed the crap out of me. I had to admit, for the most part, I liked those little babies. I glanced at my arm where Peter had chewed on it recently. He had stopped doing that as much because the other kids teased him, but obviously he wasn't quite over it. The show started a few minutes later. There were several people who sang as their talent. One guy juggled tennis balls. One girl played the violin. One guy told jokes, and he was pretty funny. Patty was up next. She sang beautifully without forgetting any words. Her pitch was above average. She turned and smiled at me as the song ended. I smiled back and gave her a victory hands up. I hoped that she'd win. I was the last performance. I took Daddy's electric guitar and stood on stage. There were probably 100 or so people there, which was a good crowd for our small town. My dad and Bob's family were sitting in the third row. There was some booing from the back of the auditorium. I saw a look of, oh my God, pass over my dad's face as he wondered what I was going to say or do. Hell, the booers meant nothing to me. Go on, I heard Miss Watkins hiss from behind me as if I was taking too long. I glanced at her. I could stand on stage all night and stare if I wanted to. Nobody was going to make me feel anything but fucking fantastic. The booers continued. I took the microphone out of the stand. Hey y'all, if you want to make some noise, come on stage and sing Freebird with me. The hum of the room got louder as some people cheered, some jeered, and some just flapped their lips to their neighbors sitting beside them. The guys were mouthing me, but I couldn't hear what they were saying. The coach and one of the dads were approaching them and telling them to sit down and shut up. I could tell by their gestures and expressions. I'm serious, I said into the microphone. If you have some singing talent, get up here because I'm going to rock this song and you could be part of it. I'll be famous one day. Several people cheered, but then a lot more of them laughed as if that were ridiculous. Freebird, 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 a few kids in the audience chanted. Others joined in. You missed your chance, I told them as I saw them sit down. They were angry and aggravated that I hadn't cried or run off stage. I'd beaten one of them up in the past. You'd think they'd known better than to taunt me. I knew that my dad was bound to tell me later that I'd better not get in to any fights with them. Yeah, well, that seemed to be yet to be determined. Get on with it, I heard Miss Watkins hiss from off stage. Whatever, this was my time. People were so damn impatient. As I put the microphones back in its stand, I heard the crowd's noise change, and I saw them looking to the side of me. I looked over and Patty was walking up beside me with a microphone in her hand. I smiled at her and launched into the song. We sang well together, and Patty didn't seem half as nervous with me beside her. On the solo, I couldn't resist falling to my knees and rocking that song on my Gibson for the moment or two. I wished that I'd gotten a drummer to play along with me. The younger people in the crowd were on their feet cheering, as were a few of the older ones. I was easily back on my feet without missing a note. Since my dad was in the audience, I played a dumbed-down version of the guitar solo. Unless you knew every note of that solo, you really wouldn't have noticed much. I was sure my dad did, though, and he didn't need to know that I could play every note perfectly as it had been composed. It was loud, and the crowd had gotten loud, too. I glanced at Patty, and I saw awe on her face as well as excitement about the crowd suddenly being so supportive. It kind of floored me, too. When it was over, the crowd was on their feet applauding and cheering. I turned and smiled at Patty. "And that's how you do Freebird," I shouted into the microphone as the crowd quieted slightly. Several people laughed, and at least one person shouted in agreement. I wondered for only a second if I should take my dad's guitar with me everywhere, since people seemed to love it. Maybe that guitar would make them love me. But then that thought made me feel sick. You'd think that people would love you for yourself, but I had yet to experience that. I mean, I behaved most times and kept most of my comments in my head. I was basically a good kid. I wished at that moment that I was an electric guitar. People would touch me then. People would love me. People would interact with me in a positive way, except for some rock stars. They'd smash me to smithereens, although I suppose that wasn't a bad way to go. Miss Watkins came on stage and gave me a dirty look for being so arrogant. It was my cue to go backstage. Patty talked to Mal a minute on our walk there. I thought everybody had known that I could play that well, but now I guess not. I was nervous now, thinking of what my dad was going to say about my performance. Did he know I'd dumbed down the solo on purpose? I ended up winning first prize. I knew I'd win. I was so talented on guitar that it was a no-brainer. I guess other people thought I'd lose or choke on stage. Patty won third prize, which was 2 tickets to Lisa's Place, which was a local restaurant. She asked me when I thought I'd be going to Charleston. My dad is always working, so I don't know if we'll ever go, I told her as I watched the relatives walking on the stage to congratulate the winners. Would your family go? Yes. We were really hoping to win the trip to Charleston, but you deserve it. You were fabulous on guitar, she gushed. Thanks. I'll trade you. My dad likes to eat at Lisa's Place, and I'm always up for eating, too, I replied. You will? She asked as her eyes lit up. Her parents had reached us then, and then they were wondering what was going on. Yeah, I agreed. She clasped her hands together and jumped up and down, nearly knocking her mom over. She's giving me the trip to Charleston, she exclaimed as her mom frowned at her and stepped out of the way. But now they were excited, too. And I get the gift certificate to Lisa's Place, I reminded her. Now my dad was there and everyone was talking at once. The adults talked for a moment or two, then we traded our prizes. Somehow I knew you were going to trade our prizes. I think you like to eat someone else's cooking more than anything, Daddy said as we headed off stage and towards the exit. You did really well on that song. I'm really proud. Well, that wasn't the reason I'd traded prizes, but I'd let him believe that assumption. I breathed a sigh of relief. I'd put one over on him about the guitar solo. Angel, my sweetie, yelled a boy's voice. Oh my God. I mumbled under my breath in time to see Alan running up to me with his parents trailing reluctantly behind. You were so freaking awesome. When are you going to serenade me? Alan exclaimed as he threw his arms around me. I noticed that we were about the same height now. I was glad my dad was carrying his guitar, but 'cause I would have dropped it. I struggled out of Alan's grip. What are you doing? Don't you know it's not polite to attack someone like that? I'm just so happy, the beast said as he tried to hug me again. Daddy, I wailed as I looked for help. The adults thought it was amusing. Okay, let her breathe now, my dad finally said to him. Me and her are going to get married, he remarked, and I'll call you Dad. I was aggravated that he said we were getting married, but it was funny to watch my dad's expression change when he told him he'd call him Dad. I laughed. The adults handled it. Ellen's parents pulled him back, and somehow Daddy and I escaped. I'd complained to my dad about Alan before, but he'd only teased me. It's really funny now, isn't it, Dad? I laughed on the way home in the car. It's as funny as getting a flat tire and having no spare, he replied. You're not dating until you're 20, and you're definitely not dating him. Boys are icky anyways. I had decided some time ago that I wasn't ever dating. The principal was right about one thing. A few kids who thought they were the rulers of the school sided up to me the next time they saw me. They talked to me as if I'd just forget all the crappy pranks and bad-mouthing they'd done to me throughout the years. They thought they could just come up and talk to me now as if some door had magically been opened. They'd made my school life miserable as far back as I could remember. I was at my locker as the three of them walked up to me as if that were normal. I tended to think of them as Larry, Curly, and Moe, the Three Stooges, even though two of them were really cute boys. You're so fucking good on that guitar, Curly told me. Yeah, I know, I replied with disinterest as I rearranged my books in my locker. Bill plays a little guitar. What do you want? I remarked in disgust as I turned to face them. We were 10 years old. I doubted any of the other kids were learning to play an instrument, let alone were good at it. Oh, wait a minute. One of them was 12 from flunking a grade or two. We hang out in front of the drugstore on Friday nights. You're going to hang with us, Larry remarked as if he were offering me something really fabulous. I smirked and puffed up a little, knowing that I had the upper hand. I was so much better than they'd ever be. So now they thought a cute girl who played badass guitar would be good for them? And at 10 years old or so, what were they doing hanging out like thugs in front of the drugstore? Although I wanted to forget the past, I couldn't. And I also figured they'd tired of me within a short period of time and we'd be back to being enemies. So as much as I really wanted some friends, I knew it wouldn't work with these boys. My dad would never have allowed something like that anyways, even if the kids were nice ones. The three of you have been assholes to me and bad-mouthing me since the first time you met me. What the fuck makes you think I'd hang out with you? Aw, we were just kidding, Moe remarked as he gave me a mean smile. I remembered that Larry had been one of the booers in the crowd. I wasn't positive that the other two had been there, but they probably had been right beside him. I reached in and got my math book and my notebook. Then I shut my locker. It didn't matter if I locked it. Somehow they'd get into it and toss my books down the hall. Nothing has changed between us. Fuck off, I told them angrily as I busted past them. I wasn't going to be anybody's bitch. Bitch, they spat at me. You better watch your step because we're going to get you that much worse now. Yeah, I already knew. I wondered if any other kids had the problems I had. My dad sure didn't understand my problems. I did have a few kids stop me in the hall to tell me what a great job I'd done at the talent show. Thanks, was all I could think to say to them as I stressed about what Larry, Curly, and Moe were planning for me. Sometimes it irritated me that I always had to keep an eye out looking for people trying to cause trouble for me. And that certain day, it was exhausting.